It's like these Argentinian steakhouses. They just keep bringing them until you put a coaster on top, which signifies don't
Yeah,
bring me any.
it's like bottomless brunch.
And inside are supposedly the remains of three magi. You're not walking around in a group with some lady holding up an umbrella that says, I'm a tourist. You're doing it at your own pace. It's interesting from a historical perspective, and got to see a lot of Vienna I wouldn't have seen, because there were places that you really tourists would not have gone.
One time, we flew halfway around the world to Bangkok, and instead of eating in a Michelin-starred Bangkok restaurant with beautiful Thai cuisine, we were in like Via Sorrento, some Italian restaurant in Bangkok, which, wasn't bad. But I mean, really? I have to go to Bangkok to eat Italian food? Now, everybody changed, all the hotels, all the cruise lines, everybody added USB ports just in time for Apple to move to USB-C or mini or whatever. And now nothing plugs in.
Hello, good day, everyone. I'm Mike Putman.
And I'm James Farrar. Welcome to No Tourists Allowed.
Glad to be back for another exciting episode. Lots going on this time of year in the travel space.
And Mike, you really are just back.
Just back, fresh off the plane. Did a quick 1 week, 4-city trip to Europe. So that was a lot of fun. Got some things to talk about there. But I had a pretty exciting week. I left on Thursday, and every flight I was on was delayed. But I ended up making it into Frankfurt on time, though. And from there, I caught a train out of the station, which they've got 2 train stations in the Frankfurt airport, huge airport, very expensive. And went to Cologne for a couple of days meeting, and got some time to do a little bit of sightseeing in Cologne, which they have, I'm sure you know, but they have one of the oldest cathedrals, actually the oldest cathedral in Northern Europe, in Cologne. And it was actually the tallest structure in the world for about 300 years as well. There are 2 massive spires right in the city, right in the center city, right beside the train station in Cologne. And I got to spend some time there.
You
They
looked out
also,
on the flights. Had you been a couple of days later, I saw an interesting statistic that Sunday and Monday were the 2 worst airline travel days since the pandemic. There were almost 20,000 cancellations and delays as a
wow.
result of the snowstorms.
Yeah. Yeah. So luckily I wasn't part of that. But back to the cathedral, they also have the, I guess you call it the vestiture of the 3 magi there. So there's, at the end of the cathedral, there's this big kind of large gold box. I mean, uh, probably 6 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet. And inside are supposedly the remains of 3 magi, which was interesting right past Christmas time. Something everyone, if you're in that part of the world, you should go out of your way to see that cathedral. I've seen a lot of cathedrals, and this is one of the more spectacular ones. And then I also got to have some Kolsch beer. That's Kolsch, which is the only beer in Germany that by law has to be brewed in a specific region. So it used to be that beer had to be brewed by breweries that had eye shot, or that could see the spires of the cathedral, bringing this around into this story. Um, but now it's anything within 30 kilometers of the cathedral, basically. It was pretty interesting. They have these beer, they call them beer halls. They have beer gardens, I guess, during the summertime, but in the winter they have beer halls. When you sit down, they'll say, "Do you want a beer?" And you go, "Yes." And like, it's not like, "Do you want flavor A, flavor B, flavor C?" You get their brand of Kolsch beer, or their brewed Kolsch beer. And then they put them in these smaller glasses. They're 200 milliliters. So it's about, I think I figured out about 9 or 10 ounces, so not a big glass. Um, and then when you're kind of almost through with it, they just bring you another. They keep it's like these Argentinian steakhouses. They just keep bringing them until you put a coaster on top, signifies don't
Yeah,
bring me any.
it's like
Um,
bottomless brunch.
yeah, and then they use those little cardboard coasters and they put a mark on it to signify how many you've had, and that's how much you pay for it then. So that was a pretty interesting experience. Yeah, so I did that, and then I had a meeting in Vienna, and I took the train from Cologne to Vienna, which was really nice. It was about a 6-hour train journey, and, I was on the high-speed ice trains and went in first class. And the interesting thing was first class was only maybe probably $70 more than second class, but you got a nicer seat, broad wider seat, and they had some service there as well in a restaurant car and so forth. But anyhow, it was a really pleasant journey going traversing, most of Germany and quite a bit of Austria, and got to see a lot of snow and a lot of mountains as we got into Austria. It was very beautiful.
Yeah, I was in Austria in November. Spectacular.
Yeah, and then I had a business meeting there and stayed at the Marriott, which was a really nice hotel, very nice Marriott right in the middle of Vienna. And, they have a great public transport system, which, I love. You're able to get kind of everywhere. And one thing I would suggest our listeners do too is if you're gonna go spend some time in a, European city, and almost all European cities have public transport, and they're generally pretty, complete, with a combination of trams, subways, and buses, depending upon which city you go to. But this is one where it's worth doing a little bit of investigation before you go, because they often have tourist passes. They call them tourist passes, where you can buy a full day of public transport for €9, say $10, and you can use unlimited transportation. Due to the fact that these cities are so highly populated and a lot of people don't own a car in these cities, you can get around to really like everywhere. You might have to walk 100 yards or 200 yards, but through a combination of using buses and trams, above ground trams, and then subways, you can really navigate the city. Oftentimes, travel much quicker than if you were in a car or an Uber, because they've made these public transit lanes, very efficient. So, it's a great way to save money, just as an example, just to get from the airport in Vienna to central Vienna is about €30 in a Uber, just a regular Uber, where you can do it with public transport for as low as 4 or €5.
Yeah. Plus, you see more because you know, you're not on just the highway or whatever. You see more and you interact more with people, as we've talked about before on this podcast. It is one of the ways taking public transportation is one of the ways you get closer to the culture, right?
Yeah.
And have a more real experience. So I do like that. I mean, we shouldn't discount New York, where they also figured out a long time ago that public transportation is the best way to move people around in a city this complex and with this many people. So, for example, even though I'm always in a car, I will never drive my car over to Brooklyn because it'll take me an hour and a half to get from the city over to Brooklyn, but it takes, 15 minutes and 2 train stops on the subway. So New York is better in public transportation too. Not to mention that then you go park your car and they want you to buy it back when you,
Yes.
it's like $80 to park your car.
Yeah. Yeah, but while I was in Vienna, I also, went to another church, and it's called the Votive Church. At night, they close the church off, and they've got seating. It's a big cathedral, and, they have it's the most tremendous light show that's, accompanied by music. There's choreography between the 2, and there are these displays of lights and it's just hard to explain, but like animals on the ceiling of this large ancient cathedral and the light combination, it was just fantastic. And I did that, and then I did a self-guided tour, which I want to either share today or at some future podcast. A new app that I found that was really interesting.
No,
Um,
let's talk about it because you sent it to me, and I thought it was very interesting also.
Yeah, it's a company called MapView, and it's mapview.app is the, URL. But you download the app, and then when you're in a city and they have 2,000 different tours, I think it's in 6 or 800 cities. But when you go to a city, you can, pull it up and you'll see even before you go, and then you can see the different tours that they offer, um, which and the tours are tours that you download to your smartphone. And so you're not with a group. You can do it at your own pace. These are walking tours. They're designed to be walking tours. And you basically, put your ear pods in and turn it on. And you can even turn your data off because once you download it, it works off the GPS. It's very affordable. The production value is really high. You're not walking around in a group with some lady holding up an umbrella that says, "I'm a tourist." You're doing it at your own pace. And as an example, you might it gives you a starting point, and then as you walk, the GPS picks up and knows where you are, and it might say, "Keep going north on Main Street." And when you come to the corner, stop. And then when you stop at the corner, it knows you're there because of the GPS recognition. And it will say, like, now look to your left at the yellow building. That is where blah, blah, blah started. Now walk 2 more blocks straight ahead and it'll come to the next stop. So it's this kind of constant interactive tour, which I really enjoyed. I did it once in Austria and then I went on to Madrid and did one there. But this will be the way I see cities, going forward. Um,
And you said it could be thematic too, like, could
yeah.
be, you did a tapas crawl with one of them
Yeah,
or
it
something,
was,
yes?
yeah, so in Madrid, I did yeah, and it wasn't so much it wasn't that type of thing, it was history with stopping at important tapas places, so in Madrid, there are
It's
a
my
lot of
kinda history.
yeah. There's a lot of, there's a lot of old restaurants that are very traditional. So the tour was really more about the history of Madrid and historical sites, although there were like 3 or 4 stops at like this one place called Tabla, I believe, and, there's like a line of people waiting, and if you just walk by, you'd go, "Why are these people waiting outside in the cold?" to get into this bar, and it's because they sell these tapas, which were basically €1, like $1.10 or whatever, and it's a strip of this fresh cod, and it's like the most fresh cod. They bring it in the morning, and they deep fry it, and you wait 3 or 4 minutes to go through the line, and then they have a special kind of wine that you get, and it was like $2 total for the wine and the tapas. But it was, like, very historic, had been there, and then they talked about all the famous people that have done deals at that one, and then it took you around and went to the oldest restaurant in the world that's been, continuously operated. Yeah, it was just very neat.
Very cool. I mean, I like that a lot. I mean, both of our companies, yours and mine, we sell escorted tours, walking tours or driven tours or whatever. And there's a place for that. But I have found myself in a lot of cities where I haven't done the research and I don't really want to walk around reading a guidebook. It's kind of cool that you could just pop your headphones in and not waste time because I love getting lost. Absolutely. But it's a bit of a crapshoot. Sometimes you get lost and it's very serendipitous and you find really cool places and you have a great time. Sometimes you don't know where you're going and you wind up having wasted a few hours walking around the wrong section of
Yeah.
town. and you just didn't see anything that interesting. So I like it a lot, and uh, I'm gonna check it out more. Maybe we'll have somebody from there on at some point, and we can talk about it a
Yeah.
little bit. So, what about you told us you stayed in the Marriott, and Marriott has, upped its game, I will say, especially in Europe, because, well, I usually seek out more local accommodations. I have stayed in a couple of Marriotts in historic buildings or in very interesting buildings in excellent places. So you can't write them off. You can't count them out. You just have to choose carefully, right? But there are some really good spots that Marriott has. What about restaurants? Do you find it challenging to get what's your secret? I know we've talked about this before, but what's your secret to finding that a memorable dining experience? And by memorable, I mean memorable in a good way.
Yeah. So when I'm in Europe, I use an app called The Fork, which is also owned by TripAdvisor. But it the Fork is kind of I think the go-to dining app when you go there. And they've kind of commercialized the model a little bit. So one of the things I like about the Fork is they have Michelin's rated restaurants, and you can actually say, "I'm going to be in Paris. Show me the Michelin starred restaurants, and we'll show you those that are available." But for some of the lesser, like the one stars and even Michelin mentions, they've kind of commercialized it to the point where they go in and they broker some type of specific menu, like a prix menu at a special, some type of special discount, or at least you feel like you're getting a special discount. Maybe you aren't, but that's been a nice experience that I've done a couple of times where you get a real gourmet meal for maybe €80 or something like that.
Look, I think a lot of people have trouble in this area and wind up with mediocre restaurant experiences, if not worse, wind up in a tourist trap or in just a nondescript kind of restaurant. And Fork is a great example. My daughter turned me on to an app, Belly, Belli, that is used by a lot of younger people because it socializes the whole idea of restaurant recommendations. So not only do you put your own restaurant recommendations in and you rate the places that you've eaten, but you can link with your friends and you can see their lists and rankings also. And it's a lot of features where you can map it out and you can see where they've been and you've been and so on. But it also identifies Michelin restaurants, which is great. And not all, it's important to say this, not all Michelin restaurants are expensive, fancy restaurants. What Michelin is looking for, they sort of take each restaurant on its own terms. If you're going to be a walk in, authentic Mexican place, casual or whatever, okay. But then you better be the best authentic Mexican, and if you are, you'll get a Michelin mention or even a Michelin star. I think that's a good system to use Michelin, and any one of these apps probably a good way to help you. You can also use the concierge at a hotel you're staying at, but there, depending upon the hotel, you risk getting a recommendation where the concierge is getting a kickback, right? Being paid to recommend the place could be very touristy. But I would love to see people seek out unique dining experiences that reflect where you are and the culture there, right? And I always use as the negative example my poor father, who, was a great eater, loved food, but really loved Italian food, he's an Italian man. And no matter where we were in the world, he would find an Italian restaurant. So one time we flew halfway around the world to Bangkok, and instead of eating in a Michelin starred Bangkok restaurant with beautiful Thai cuisine. We were in like Via Sorrento, some Italian restaurant in Bangkok, which, wasn't bad, but I mean, really? I have to go to Bangkok to eat Italian food? So I think you have the kind of no tourists allowed trip, that experience, if you seek out food that reflects the place you're visiting. And the way to do that is maybe through some of these apps, personal recommendations, and so on.
It's not just about having a good meal, it's about experiencing the local culture. And I would even say going to an Italian restaurant in Bangkok, you're gonna see the cultural differences of if it is an Italian running the restaurant in Bangkok, how they feel about the local area, what kind of ingredients they can get. So,
You know,
look,
there's something
we
to
spend a lot
learn.
we spend a lot of time eating, I mean, in our waking hours, so, I think it's important to take it in, and experience, different cultures and foods as much as you can.
There's something to learn from every experience, certainly. And they were very nice people, but they did not look Italian to me.
We should mention during our time that we are promoting a, free trip giveaway once again to all of our steady listeners, and looking forward to providing someone a free, pretty much all expense paid trip, except for the airfare. You got to get yourself there, but we're sponsoring for one lucky winner an all inclusive trip for two people.
That's right. I mean, we've given away cruises, we've given away other trips, several luxury cruises. Last time was a Princess cruise to Alaska. But this time we're giving away a land based resort, an all inclusive resort. So your accommodations, your food, your beverages, your entertainment, all of that included. Usually there's a few exceptions, sometimes top shelf liquor or motorized water sports will cost you a little bit more, but otherwise all inclusive. And we told you that last time. This time, I think we should give some hints about the destination, right? So it's sunny and warm, that we can say.
South of at least where I am, and certainly where you are.
Yeah, well, everything's south of where I am. And the native language is not English, right?
Yeah,
The food's good, very good.
very good. Yep.
Lots of water sports. Of course, it's oceanfront. What else can we say about it?
You might you might have a drink of tequila while you're there.
Well, now we might as well tell them. So we're talking about Mexico, but Mexico's a big place. That's like saying Canada or the United States. So maybe on in our next episode, we'll help you narrow it down. But so far, we've established all-inclusive resort, nice place, uh, in Mexico for a sunny vacation for two. And we'll be teasing out a little bit more over the next episodes, and then we'll have a drawing. How do you enter that drawing?
It's super simple. If you just go to notouristallowed.com and sign up for our newsletter, there you will get an immediate entry, and we will also provide some additional ways that you can enter more than once. So go to notouristallowed.com, sign up for the newsletter, and then from that newsletter, we will be supplying you with additional ways that you can get yourself entered more than once, so you can have a better opportunity, better chance of winning this fabulous vacation.
So, Mike, when you were over in Spain, you attended a travel industry event, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, one of the largest in the world is called Fitur, Fittur, and very similar to World Travel Market in the UK or ITB in Berlin. It is a show where countries and companies come in and showcase their their destination, what they have to offer. It is a very large production. It's about 1 kilometer, so let's say half a mile long from the beginning to the end of this show, and about a quarter of a mile wide. It's just made up
Yeah, it's enormous.
yeah, these huge pavilions that you have one for Europe, you have one for Africa, you have one for, US, Canada, Caribbean, one for technology, et cetera, et cetera. So it is a massive, event, and it's for travel professionals the first 3 days, and then the last 3 days are for people that wanna come, just regular customers or, consumers that come and learn more about, uh, these different destinations and where to go.
The last couple of years, the shows I've been to like that, the Middle East has had huge investments, like the Saudi Arabian pavilion or UAE pavilion have been, massive. Were there any standouts when you were walking around the destinations? Anything that surprised you or interested you?
Yeah, there were 2. One was Egypt. So Egypt kind of broke out and did their own, pavilion, so they weren't part of the African or Middle East pavilion. They're on their own, and that pavilion was made up like a museum. It was just so well done, very well thought through, and just a really good way to express all that there is about Europe, excuse me, about Egypt and about their heritage and so forth. So that was really interesting. And then in the middle of all these pavilions, the key sponsor was Mexico, and Mexico had all of these authentic, booths where you could go in and taste their local cuisine. So, like, there was one that had tacos, and they were giving away tacos. There's another one that was giving away, shot to Veneo, another one, with tropical drinks, etcetera. And then lots of, other things where you could kick a soccer ball and try to get it past this electronic goalie and all these kind of things. Just made it really interesting, and it drew a lot of attention as well.
We had the New York Adventure Show here in the city last week. And that's a big, even though it's called the Adventure Show, it's basically a travel show with all the major suppliers and cruise lines, vacation companies, adventure companies, destinations, and so on. And it's in the Jacob Javits Center. So it's pretty big, but those European marts are bigger. The one I've been to, London is enormous, also many halls. What about on the travel technology side? Anything that would be of interest to our listeners?
Not the everything was made up is well, I shouldn't say everything, but the majority of the vendors, uh, were either people that had, a hotel feed that they were trying to sell, or it was people that had hotel software so that individual hotels could sell their bookings or what have you. And then but the weird thing was there were a lot of companies there that had technology around the hotel door lock itself or the door handle, which seemed kind of out of place to me. Um, but there were quite a few of those, so that must be the thing to do, or the business to be in right now is selling hotel door handles.
It's a little bizarre. I mean, look, technology is changing everything. So um, it usually bleeds into the hotel experience too, one way or another. A new kind of elevator control, new kind of door lock, different plugs in the hotel rooms. Oh, is this bothering anyone else? Everything now, everybody changed, all the hotels, all the cruise lines, everybody added USB ports just in time for Apple to move to USB-C or mini or whatever, and now nothing plugs in to the USB port.
Yeah, that's a European standard that's required now is that everything must be USB-C, but unfortunately, everybody has all my plugs, and I actually just bought one, as a matter of fact. Uh, I was gonna show it to you, but yeah, that but I got so frustrated while I was over there, I just bought another one that has the multi-pronged where you can power 3 USB-C things at a time. Um,
You know what I did? I went on Amazon and bought a pack of adapters, little short adapters that you can put on the end of a USB-C that makes it uh, uh, USB, and also that you can put on the end if you have all these old lightning connecting cords, the thin fin that was big for a long time. So I've got all these cords that I can't use anymore. You can buy these little plugins that go on the end and change them to USB-C. I'm gonna beat that Apple.
yeah, that's a good tip for people traveling too, be prepared for that. Well, we're a little bit over time, James. So I want to thank all of our listeners for sticking with us. Please share with your friends and family. No tourists allowed. We've made a commitment this year to be a little more consistent, although that we will be interrupted from time to time with all of our travels. But that gives us an opportunity to create more content to share with you, and hopefully you're finding this content valuable.
Please go to the website, notouristallowed.com. And if you've got a burning question about travel or something you think that we should be talking about, please let us know and we'll try to compile it all together and make a sort of you asked for it episode.
Absolutely. Good.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being with us at No Tourists Allowed. See you next time.
Bye for now.